Good afternoon, good evening, my friends. How are we doing? How you doing today? I hope everybody is doing well. A good morning, a good day, a good a good progression of things, isn't it? Um, things are moving along nicely. Everything progressing as it is. Hello, Smokey, Jason, Manchucutioner, Matthew. How y'all doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yes, 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 yes. Quite a bit we want to speak about. Oof, fix my chair. Fix my chair. But yes, how you all doing today? How is everybody going? The Yakuras donation is getting closer. There's a little shift in the wind, isn't there? On that Yakuras thing, why does it feel like there's just a slight shift in the wind back in our direction? I don't necessarily believe it yet. But at the same time, I've always said, I've always said, I still felt like maybe Yakuras is the most likely striker we would sign, even after everything. Even after everything. But we'll get to that in a minute. We will get to that in a minute. And Mbeumo is the talk of the town. And Mbeumo is the word of the day. Everything is moving as expected. Everything is going fantastic. Everything is going smooth. My microphone should be fine. My microphone should be fine. You check your volume. Um, Apparently bid not accepted. What does that mean? Of course the bid's not accepted, or the deal would be done, my friend. They are negotiating. So we'll talk about the Mbumos and exactly where it is. We will talk about who the hell we're going to sign at number 9. We'll talk about Sancho as we look for. There might maybe updates out of Italy this evening. We'll see on that front. Talk about the midfielder. Talk about the midfielder, and then just yap a bit and hang out, and you know, just to have some fun today. But things are moving along quite nicely. I'm pretty damn happy with the progress. Everything sounds very good behind the scenes. Everything I can check in on sounds pretty good. Any Douglas Luiz swap deal news? No, but I'm kind of interested to see um what happens after like this evening, because there are more talks today have been occurring between Jadon Sancho, United, and some of the Italian clubs. So I want to know who. We won't get a Stupinianis. He's like a 50, 60 million pound player. Um, Wing backs, I believe. We'll see. We'll see on that one. It's been mentioned a few times, but I'm unsure as to the intention behind it as of yet. More of there's most reports have been indicating striker, midfielder, goalkeeper are the three things. We'll see about wingback. I think that's a luxury, but I also think that's a late window thing, purely dependent on how does Diego Leon perform in preseason, because they're going to take a look at him. How does Harry Amas perform in preseason? I think it's more for the left side than the right, to be quite honest. And I also think that Mbeumo coming in almost assuredly very much changes um, potentially original plans. Like if you didn't get Mbeumo, if you got Cunha and a striker, I think you need a wing back because you're going to have Ahmad at the 10, very likely. And then you might want a wing back for the right. But with Mbeumo coming in, that also changes that dynamic. So I think that may move down the list. We will see. We will see. Given what you know about our transfer activity, who would you like to see at 9? It's still Gyökeres or, I mean, Osimhen, the Victors. It's always been Victor Gyökenhem for me. That has been the answer. That has been the answer. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, or Sancho will stay. Let's do that as a poll. Um, let's do that. Am I going to any of the preseason games? Yes. No, I do think Ahmad will be a right wing back. I'm saying that if we hadn't got Mbeumo, if we'd gotten like Delap and Cunha, then we likely would have needed a wing back, I would say. Yeah. Because of that right 10, kind of that right 10, right wing back situation. How many people are voting let Sancho cook? Oh boy. Too many. What is wrong? What what is going on with you people? Just kidding. But yes, let's get into it. Make sure to like the stream. Make sure to like the video. We are getting there. I don't know that that's a great source, to be quite honest, guys. I'm just being real with you. I'd love to be, as of yet, optimistic and hopeful on the topic of Victor Gyökeres, but we'll talk about it in detail in a few minutes, about kind of the whole striker front and where we go from here. So yeah, we will see. You like the stream and also want Sancho to cook in Turkey. Well, yeah, that's what done means. That's what done means. It means he leaves and then cooks in Turkey. Romano streams with Team Talk. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Romano has his own things that he does. Could we potentially complete? Let's get to that in a minute. All right, we'll get to it in a minute. I do have an agenda. I have an agenda. I have a sequence of things to talk about, so I will get to everything. Is Sully a good source? Sully is a good source. Yeah, Sully's good. Yep, and we talk very very often, Sully and I, on some different topics, things like that, and news, and it's been very beneficial, I think, to both of us to do so. So yes, good source. And I'll talk about my understanding of the Mbeumo thing, because we kind of like we get these games a little bit that play. So let's talk about oh yes, we'll talk about that too. Lawton Times is yapping about what? Let me just look at that really quick. What you're talking about? What are you talking about? Lawton Times. Did I misunderstand what you said? Because something else. All right, it's all good. You have no idea. I appreciate that, CC. Thank you. I'm not sure what you meant. Before we start, though, I do want to share one thing. I do want to share this. I want to look at this really quick, just to note. JB Tier 1 James. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay, very much. Appreciate that. I want to share this, okay? Just for all of my people on the US tour and in the States, I want to make sure you are aware of this here. I have partnered again. This is officially with Man United. You can see it's on their website and all of that. It's nothing nothing new there. But it is this is official with Manchester United and myself partnering up for the summer tour. I've done this is the third summer in a row now that I have run this little competition where give away a pair of tickets to each game. So if you're coming to the States, then just go submit your information there, see if you can get a free pair of tickets to one of the games. And it's pretty cool. It's very exciting. It's awesome to do it, but it's also, to me, it's just really cool to like be working with United on shit like this. You know what I mean? Like that's cool. That's good stuff to me. That makes me feel pretty good. So I'm always happy when we get to do stuff like that. But yeah. So I just wanted to share that quickly. You can head over to my Twitter page to submit over there. 1 second, sorry. And then we'll get into all this. CR7 Al Nasser, Director of Football. I know, that's interesting. We'll get to that in the more sales section, because now we were talking, we'll get to it in the more sales section. We'll get to that in the more sales section. I knew that I wanted to talk about that because we had these Casemiro rumors and stuff, and I was like, interesting. But we were hearing like nobody knows what the hell's going on at Al Nassr. It seems like it's unlikely at the moment. But then you see that Cristiano Ronaldo is in control of the transfers for Al Nassr. Could it be true? Or we still don't know, to be fair, that it's true. It could be that because of something like that, it's an easy link to draw. It's like, oh yeah, it's easy to link it all up together. But that doesn't mean it's true as of yet, but it is very, very interesting. It is very interesting. Um, very, very, very interesting on that front. Could it provide the route out that we need in order to move Casemiro on? Maybe. Maybe not. Anyway, regardless of that, let's get into the news. Here we go. Okay, so on Brian Mbeumo, obviously in yesterday's live, what I spoke about at that time was that the second bid had put United and Brentford close enough in talks that they were negotiating over a lot of the details. I called it minutia like 3 times and had to clear up what the word minutia means for people, and I kept saying that. But that it was the add-ons, the details, that they were pretty much good on the general package, pretty much good on the base fee, pretty much happy with where things were at, but wanting to get a little bit easier add-ons, and obviously the structure of the deal can change a little bit during that time. It's always possible, but yeah, that's the main thing. That's where it was as of yesterday. That it was progressing very well on that front, moving closer there. This morning, obviously saw a bunch of confirmations from different journalists and people that United were close to this deal. Well, this morning my time, really this afternoon. You know, and so, basically, yeah, that's the kind of the simplicity of it, is that's where we were moving. Now, this morning, where things are this afternoon, I said this morning, I mean this afternoon, this evening, and obviously you're getting like things are really close. You have Sully saying the deal is agreed, all of that. What I can say is, obviously it's very hard for me to completely confirm whether or not it's completely done or not myself. I'm not disputing it in the slightest, because Sully has good information on these things. But what I was told is that there was, as of this morning, my time anyway, 5 hours ago, what have you, not expecting anything imminent in terms of confirmation of this deal being done or anything like that. So it may be a few more days before we actually, I don't know, depends on your definition of imminent and all that as well, of course. But generally that means a few more days until, we're going to get some kind of like more official confirmation of things. And that's not generally a big deal. That doesn't mean that the deal isn't agreed, doesn't mean it isn't basically agreed, doesn't mean it's actually not there. It just means that, we obviously, there's a little bit more time to go, and that's going to take us to until we actually like announce, deal agreed pending this, that, and the other. All right. And so I would expect a few more days before we hear that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Where we're kind of, there's a stage where every transfer kind of gets to this, where there's people hearing essentially like it's done, and then there's like this little delay, and then it's like official. And in that time delay, people kind of saying it's close, it's close, it's close, but not quite there. It's close, it's not quite there. And then eventually everybody, everybody says it's done. Doesn't mean it isn't agreed. Doesn't mean it's not all set. I think we pretty much can put this to rest. I doubt we're going to hear much more at this time. It could well be, they want to sell at a certain time. We want to buy at a certain time, waiting for the player to come back to fully agree on a contract. These types of things could be, in place. Don't know the exact specifics. Doesn't matter to me. Point being, it is either done or extremely close to done and progressing, and has moved very, very well. But don't worry about it. He's on vacation, all of that. Then we'll go do the medical and all of these things. So it could be in the next couple of days. It could be tomorrow. Again, depends on your definition of imminent. It could be in a few hours, because that might have been, over the course of a whole day can change that. So I wouldn't worry about it. Things are fine. I wasn't expecting anything officially done. I wasn't expecting a bomba earlier today after all of that from Ornstein or Fabrizio or all of that until, based on what I was told. I just wasn't expecting that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get that for another couple of days. But it's nothing to worry about. I understand it's annoying and can be fairly frustrating, but yeah. Um, so yeah, that's the situation with Mbeumo. Things are good. Things are good. Let's move on to Sancho. Now, on the Sancho front, my understanding here, as of yesterday, of course, was that there was the Italian clubs that were well in for him, kind of pushing forward for him, and he was very interested in those deals, in staying in one of the top 5 leagues, and all of that. And yeah, and then basically, in addition to that, um, Fenerbahce were pushing very, very hard. Now, we saw reports from DiMarzio and otherwise that as of yesterday, there were more talks being scheduled for today between Sancho, us, Juventus, um, all of that. And so it seems like we're progressing there. Obviously, he's kind of got a choice. From what I can gather, I feel as though Napoli aren't really biting on the raising the fee, or raising the wages to meet him and what he wants in terms of the game, and that's what's putting them behind a little bit at the moment. Juventus maybe are more willing to, hence wanting to talk to United. Fenerbahce there as well. There was an update from that guy, Yagiz, but hold on a sec. But I don't know. Um, um, but I didn't see for Turkey, but I didn't see anything come out of it as to what happens. But we'll see. We'll see here. But look, there's a lot of choices, a lot of conversation, a lot of that on the table for Jadon Sancho. So it looks pretty darn likely that we're going to, get some kind of a deal one way or another on all of this. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the important part of this, needing to move him on. Lots of activity here. We'll see what he chooses. We'll see what he chooses. Frankly, I mean, I genuinely don't know who he's going to choose in this case, or where. But obviously, we need some concrete offers. But I think that's going to happen really once we're getting like. I think that's going to happen once we're getting like how would I put it? Like once he's agreeing the fees for people like that. Once he's agreeing wages, once he's agreeing those personal terms, because he hasn't really as of yet finalized that, and we definitely need to hear that. So yeah, it's good. I'm pretty happy with it. I think that uh, certainly it looks very, very likely, and we'll see by the end of the video if we hear anything else. Let's see. If anything else goes on, we'll hear if anything else goes on, comes out of Italy. If there's any follow up to the reports about, about what do you call it? Juventus and the talks today, and things like that. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Let me just give me 2 seconds to just listen to this really quick, just in case it's relevant. It might not. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, nothing particularly relevant as of now, but yeah, who at the nine? Who at the nine? It's a good question. I truly do not know. Um, I don't know. Laurie said the same thing that I said as well about this point on kind of waiting. Um, of kind of waiting on Gyökeres and saying, well, let's just wait it out, because I think there's a feeling that the Benjamin Šeško is the main target for Arsenal, right? And when we look at like Fabrizio kind of keeps going on about Sheshko, right? And talking about him following. I know that's kind of like interaction bait to kind of like, Sheshko's now following Arsenal and all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's, you know, I feel he's doing it for a reason, because I think from his perspective, considering that that's probably their main target. I don't know how long we have to wait. I don't know, but I Laurie said the same as I've said recently, that the kind of the strategy of just kind of waiting and seeing now is probably the best thing that we can do, which is wait out the where we're going, wait out these players, wait out the situations, and let them, fall, because it certainly may fall into our lap, this whole Gyökeres thing, just like it looked like it might before. Um, there's been a lot of talk over in Portugal in the last day now about, obviously Gyökeres is going to go on strike. There's talk today on record, on their live on their TV or whatever the news show that they do, which says that um, which says that like that the agent has the agreement, and specifically over how many years and everything has to be paid, and he should be able to hold them to it, and who knows, you know what I mean? But that situation could fall into our lap. Nobody knows really who we're going to end up with at this time, but obviously we kind of know the basic names. The one player that I know we've watched in the past that we haven't really been linked to is Aghawa. Um, that we haven't had any links to, and I'm curious to see if some kind of contact is made there. Ekatike is one we followed. Agahawa is one we followed. We made some contact with Ekatike. Do we make some contact on Agahawa? He's also at the Club World Cup. As long as Porto are still in it, I think if they are, or yeah, Benfica. Why do I always get so confused about this? Yeah, I had it right the first time. Porto. So maybe we talk to him, but he would also probably be fairly expensive. Now, the thing about that is that his so they're out of it now. Okay, fair enough. The manager wasn't really getting on with him, and his price has probably gone down a little bit. But Samu would be, potentially a good one, but he's also another young player. I think he'll be cheaper than Ekatike, but still a young player. And there's the risks involved with all of that as well. Though we did play at Atletico already before at Porto, so it's not like he hasn't played in major leagues a little bit at least. We've seen that. So, yeah, I mean, the main names I'm keeping kind of an eye on, in addition to our major targets, is Watkins. If something um comes there. Vlahovic, just because of the Juventus talks. Gonzalo Ramos, if being offered to us, just keeping that in mind. And Samu Agawa are some of them that I would just keep in mind. It was interesting, some reports, that Xerxes likely to stay, and you're seeing a lot more things kind of start to come out. Like, yeah, they're probably going to sell Hoyland if they can, a little later on in the window. And if they can get a number 9 in, but we don't know who that is as of yet. We really have no idea. So we still can't do transfers from Nice, guys. We still can't do transfers from Nice. We still can't do transfers from Nice. So I don't think that that's on the table right now. So those are the main ones I'm following. I think the players who would fit the best are Osimhen, Gyökeres, and Agawa. Of all the names, and then Ollie Watkins as well. Still not happy how Gyökeres' agent handled the whole situation, portraying us as second choice. It's true. It's true. It's true. But you know, if we sign him and he scores goals, all is forgiven. I mean, look at the players we've gotten from other big clubs that, you know, have played at other Premier League clubs and won things and scored goals against us and done all of that, and then what the outcome has been, you know. So all that matters is performance at the end of the day. And I would certainly much rather be offended by how Gyökeres treated us and sign him and score goals than have, you know, Rasmus Højlund or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I would say there. Yeah, being second choice for Gyökeres and him joining is better than Rasmus starting again next season. Totally true. Yep, totally true. Going back to us after why? But why? Why are we a better choice than Arsenal? Let's look at it that way. Because he didn't say no to us. Why are we a better choice than Arsenal? You know? Like I said, I was never offended by Lenioro preferring Madrid. I don't like Arsenal. But he's a Swedish player playing in Portugal. He's never really been in the Premier League before. He's not going to have the same feeling about the he's not going to have the same feeling about, you know, the I understand Madrid is different. I understand Madrid is different, but I'm just saying, why would he prefer us? The only reason Mbeumo, one of the major reasons we've gotten Mbeumo, is because he was a kid fan of us. You know, he was a fan of us for his whole life. You know what I mean? So that's okay. Lenioro wasn't, and Lenioro, you sign him, came in, great. You know, if you don't support us, you know, it's just, it is what it is. It's a promise that our project will work out. And how many players have we signed and it hasn't worked? I can't totally blame players for having some doubts. Not that it doesn't, it's not like, not that it isn't endearing when they really want to move to us, but that doesn't always work. You know, Sancho picked us over Chelsea. Look at how that turned out. Antony went on strike for us. Look at how that turned out. You know, it's not like it makes it better. You know, it's not like it makes it better. Højlund was a United fan. Like, who cares, man? You know, it's like, whatever. To me, it's I always like when they are a United fan, but so what? At the end of the day, some of them do, some of them don't. And if you're not a United fan, it's not illogical to pick somebody else. I mean, De Ligt turned us down years ago. He's here now. You know, it's like we've been down this road before. It is what it is. You know, shit happens. 1 second here. All right. No, I would stay far away from Thomas Partey. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. You can't be too sentimental. We can't be too sentimental about it. We just need the best players. Again, City have won so many titles and nobody ever wanted to play for City, so it's like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? We beat City to many players and it didn't work out. So whatever. We'll see. We'll see. It just doesn't bother me. I just want a striker. You know what I mean? That's all I want in life is a good number 9 coming in. Um, so yeah. Um, yeah. What the plan here is wait a bit. We're gonna work on the sales. We're gonna finalize Mbeumo, and then we're gonna see what happens as things progress moving forward here on the nines. I imagine we'll probably do a couple more checks. Like I said, I'm keeping an eye on Watkins, Vlahovic, Ramos, and Aghawa, and then we'll do some more checks. We'll wait a little bit, and then we will see. And then we'll see what we move for, especially when a bit more money comes in. 1.2K watching, only 1/3 liked. If you don't want to donate, like the video. Yeah, appreciate that, Jason, and that's correct. All you got to do is, if you're watching, just click like. That's all you need. Nothing else matters. So, yeah. Let's move on to more sales. We can talk about Rashford again, just to confirm. Wanted by Barcelona, regardless of Nico Williams. They're going to push for a loan. They'll probably sweat us out. But I think most everybody is looking at it now. Like, you've heard a lot of people saying now, United will probably let him go on loan. I watched Laurie Whitwell say the same thing on the paddock, that very likely he'll end up going on loan. I think that's really okay. And that's been the likely outcome for some time. He wants Barcelona. They want him. A loan will probably work. It's really solid that there's interest on both sides there for that to happen. And if a loan works, then I think this deal will get done. For him to go to Barcelona, that will save us a lot of money on wages. So that will be very good. If Barcelona say no, then what for Rashi? Well, there'll be other clubs offering loans, but yeah. Laurie Whitwell said they want to sell Højlund, not loan. Well, yes, because he's not the future. I mean, look, there's a lot of PR and stuff that can go into this, but the reality is that we paid 72 million. He's costing us 14 to 15 million a year, plus wages and amortization. That's too much money to send another player out. Like, we don't want to keep having to send Sancho, Anthony, Højlund, have these deals where we're sending them out on loan. You don't know if it's going to work out. You don't know if they're going to be good enough. You may have even already decided they're not good enough, which is why you want to buy a striker so badly, by the way. So sending them out on loan, it's like, great. It would be much better if we just sell them. Get the cost off of the club. And that would be the best thing. So, yes, we definitely would prefer to sell him and do want to move him on. There's still talk over there with Inter, and it seems like there's potential. There was, I think, a report even today about it, just saying something, that they were kind of going to go back into it in a bit, and that we were asking something like 40 million euros or something like that, and I think that is fine. But yeah, we've paid too much money. It's like we loan him out. What happens? So what happens? Like, let's look at it this way, right? Here's the problem. When you take a player like Rasmus Højlund, if you loan him out, you're still paying that 15 million in amortization. Maybe you're even paying some wages. Let's say he does decent at another club. Like, he's not going to be suddenly prolific on a loan. It's never going to happen. He's not going to go and score 25, 30 goals. So let's say you loan him out and he does decent. Scores 10, 12, 15 goals. Well, then what do you have to look at that time again? You have to say, well, great. We've paid the 15 million for that. So then if we sell him, someone's going to be like, well, you don't want him back. We'll buy him for 30 million. Well, then you might have well have just sold him before. If you bring him back, then you're spending another 15 million, if you think about it this way, to hope he has a decent season at United. But 15 million a year is the type of cost for a world-class striker, for a top striker. So, it's not easy. It's not a simple situation. A loan has some merit, but I don't think it's and I think we could end up accepting a loan plus an obligation or something like that. But obviously, a sale would be much preferred. If we don't sell him, could we loan him if we get a striker in? Could we loan him just to see if he can improve his value? Yeah, probably. If it's a last case scenario, like a Sancho, like an Anthony, but obviously a sale is the ideal situation here. Um, and again opens up the squad space and money to spend more elsewhere. So hopefully we can do that. But yeah, things are moving on all of those fronts as well. And as I've said before, the Anthony thing, it's moving. I don't have any substantial update to give you today on Anthony. As I said this morning, it's just kind of moving along. More discussions. We'll wait. Betis are getting some things done, and then we will, then it'll move at that point in time. Then it'll move at that point in time, and some other offers will go on. But as well, I think the July 1st date is very relevant for a lot of different things. I think don't lose sight of that in terms of how it could have an effect on, our window overall when sales happen, you know, things like that. So certainly, don't lose sight of that. Sorry, I'm a little tired today. In terms of the when some of these purchases, offers, things like that will actually come in. Betis selling Cardoso, right, and then they're also selling another winger, and so it feels like that needs to happen. Then there's Alvaro sell-on, which is supposedly still on for after the Club World Cup. Elanga sell-on. I don't think Elanga's going to be sold this summer, to be honest. The price that they're quoting is just so high, I kind of doubt it. But yeah, then there's Greenwood, Dan Gore. Like there are other bits of definitely bits of money that we can raise, and a lot of it is likely to happen after July 1. So again, from my perspective, I believe that Sancho and Anthony would be enough that we can go get a striker, even per the sort of the public kind of opinion and all of that. So yeah. Second. Then there's that interesting thing on Casemiro. Okay, on Casemiro, we saw those reports a couple days ago about Casemiro and Al Nasser, and then suddenly it was and I asked, and a lot of people are saying we don't really know what's going on with that. It's hard to say that there's any truth or not. Al Nasser's whole management team is changing. Everything's in chaos and all of that. And then today, Cristiano Ronaldo is agreed to stay at Al Nassr now, and apparently, as it's been reported, um, um, he will have control over transfers. Now, does he want Casemiro? I can say, with my knowledge, that at least in the past, the not too distant past, he'd had conversations with Casemiro and about joining him. I can say that I don't know how recent that was, but I know those conversations happened after he left and within the last couple of years. Could this be the reason for it, or is somebody just coming up with the link because it's easy to come up with the link knowing what's going on with Ronaldo? So yeah, it's intriguing. Does this provide us with a potential route for Casemiro to leave United? Does it provide us with a potential route for Casemiro to join Al Nassr? And what does that do? Because that will open up even more in the midfield. Now we want a midfielder, but we're not going to have a ton of money to spend after the striker on that. So it's a serious question as to what happens there. And if Casemiro does, that it lets us do even more. So we'll see. Now, in terms of the type of midfielder, I can say again, someone gets up and down and makes tackles and all of that, and you know, yeah. So I'm keeping an eye on again. Like, do we go back on links on Ederson, Douglas Luiz? Could there be anything in that? Do we follow up on the Nemcha interest that was not serious at the time? Do we go back for Anton Stack? Do we go for someone like Ugo Chukwu or something like that? What happens here? I don't know. But then if we move Casemiro, do we try to go even bigger? Do we go for somebody else? Who knows? Maybe we do. I don't. It's an unknown. We start to operate out of the lesser known territories now after Mbeumo and after this, because it's really like ins and outs and sales and opportunity based. I don't understand why we have to get rid of so many players just to replace one, because we lost 500 million over 3 years. That's why the expenses have to be lowered. We have too many players earning and for nothing, and we have to get rid of the people who were, like I said, you add up Sancho, Rashford, and Antony, and you get 56 million a year in costs for players that don't even play at United. That's why, because that's we have to move these kind of players on to keep adding more to the team. It's not waiting to sign one a thing. This is the reality of the finances. The Glazers did this because they just liked to do 3 in 3 out, because they didn't want to be ambitious. They just set up these random rules. We need more outs than ins, because we need to lower the costs now, because they just kept spending willy-nilly. So, you'd get a 5 million player out and sell and buy an 80 million. Like, that doesn't work over time if you keep doing that. We lost Eriksen, Lindelof along. We haven't lost Sancho, Rashford, and Antony. We've lost Eriksen and Lindelof, and we've added Cunha and Mbeumo for 120 million. So we're, we still need to make up some money. Now, like I said, I think that they could, in theory, do more, but it would be somewhat fiscally irresponsible. And unlike the Glazers, they're not intending to be financially negligent in terms of how they run the club, from my opinion. From my perspective, they don't intend to run things that way, so I don't think that they will. Yes, I see Fabrizio says Inter are closing in on a deal for Yohan Boni. Now, remember, they want 2, and Boni was the one they were getting done first. They need to move Taremi on and all of that, and then Højlund is likely to become a topic more of discussion at that time. So, yeah, that's just something to think about there. So yeah, that at least seems to be progressing, that aspect of things. The other dominoes into all of that are kind of happening. So that's good. All right, awesome. Just finishing something. Cool. So this Muppet P Glazers don't take. Just time them out. Just time them out. If you can't even type your accusations properly, then so be it. So yeah, now we're moving into the Yap session, because we've pretty much covered things. So again, in Mbeumo, things have progressed through add-ons and installments era into that sort. Major significant progress has been made today. Major significant progress has been made today, yesterday, but as of this morning, there's not expected to be anything imminent from an official standpoint. Maybe a little bit just to get the full confirmation. That doesn't mean the deal isn't close or done. It just means it's going to be, it wasn't imminent as of this morning for that. So we'll see in the next couple of days. I have no concerns about this. Things have moved forward, and we are at worst very, very close on a deal. Jadon Sancho, we'll see what updates come out of Italy. As far as I've heard, that perhaps Napoli are not getting totally baited into raising the wage cost that they have. Juventus strongly in, and apparently having talks with United today per DiMarzio, so we'll see. Fenerbahce pushing hard as well. More clubs in for him too, but those seem like the ones in the advanced as of now. So I'll wait. I'll see if I can find anything further about that at the moment. In addition, like we say at the 9, kind of waiting and seeing what happens there, what kind of improvements we get. Looking at, we'll wait and see here. I mean, we will see. This is a waiting game as part of the strategy, not just like we're waiting. The waiting is part of the strategy. See where Arsenal move. See what happens on Ekitike. See what happens with the rest of them, and then we should be able to get some kind of deal done from there. And then I think that we will also be. I'm keeping an eye out for Watkins, Vlahovic, Ramos, and Samu as some names that hopefully we'll make some context with or follow up on as they're players that we've watched. Or hey, maybe we shoot for the moon and go for Victor Osimhen. I have heard a couple of times, just on some yap standpoint, I've heard a couple of times that some of the talk with the players, that they've signed, they've certainly indicated that they intend to sign some pretty big players, to continue to sign more and spend more. And that's been part of it, about being ambitious and all of that. So that was the idea. So we'll see if they follow up on that. James, a lot of guys in my groups don't like you from the takeover saga. They think you won't say a bad word about United after Ineos have taken over. They don't watch you regularly, though. That's true. Yeah. It is very funny, because if you do watch regularly, you know how often I do critique the things that have happened, especially in the beginning. I mean, I talked about the first summer almost disastrously in terms of all the mistakes that they've made. But since then, I'm happy with a lot of the things that are getting done throughout, but certainly plenty of criticism to go around there as well. Just fair criticism, but yeah, a lot of people didn't like what I was saying during the takeover process because it wasn't what they wanted to hear, and that's never what I do, unfortunately. Yeah, the Glazers got our transfer windows from Football Manager. Actually true, totally true. And then again, Kabi. So as I've shared for months and months and months now, I've always heard it likely. Kabi intending to stay, club intending for him to stay, get back into great shape. I did a thing on this like right before the summer window, saying the plan was get into the best shape possible, get totally fit, and work his way into the team fully and see what's happening. And it seems like he's working his ass off. He looks in great shape. He looks slim. Working with Lenny Yoro. Excited. Hopefully he has a big season and improves, and then I think contracts will come through and get done at the end of it. What else? Anything else to discuss today? I don't intend to just keep it going for too long just for the sake of it, but let's see. Anything else? Did anything else happen today? I've got a few things I'm following up on, mostly on the sales front, but did anything else happen today that I missed? I know there's this little report about Gyökeres, but it's not a source that I think at this point that I even have a chance, like that I would even consider at this point. Okay. Wait for the guys in Portugal seem to be pretty well in on this. I'm kind of waiting to hear something to see if something comes out of Portugal, because record's actually been really good on this whole process. Diogo Costa is an interesting one. I way back when we bought Onana, you know how I was really hot on that one. I said he was our top target. He was the top target for the scouting analytics department. Again, one of those things that was overwritten by a certain manager who ended up signing his own former player in Andre Onana. So United are extremely well informed on the Costa situation. However, I'm pretty sure he's going to City. I think it was well kind of reported when Viana joined that he would be like a big priority for them. I don't know, obviously, but I think he's going to City. However, if we did sell Onana, if we did get Onana moved on, then I would definitely keep that one in mind, given he is a keeper that United have watched for a long time and wanted to buy previously. So I definitely keep that in mind. I think he has potential to be a very good keeper, but yeah, but we'll see. You think Ederson is staying at City now? Maybe. I truly don't know. It's just there were so many reports about Diogo Costa for a bit there from like pretty solid sources as well. Costa is more of a ball-playing shot stopper, a little less good in terms of like coming off of his line, claiming crosses, things like that. I think he's more like Ederson. I think, but I could be wrong. I've watched him a bit, so yeah. You think there's a scope for the Ekitike price? I think the Ekitike price could certainly come down, but I don't think it's going to come down by too much, and I still think it's well over the value that they have for him, and I still think that we'd be well behind Liverpool on that one, personally. You underestimate Pep's love for Ederson. Maybe you're right. I can't set claim to know what Pep and City are doing over there at all times for sure, but it's just a thought, you know. It's just an unknown. But look, the likelihood of Onana leaving is still quite low, you know, and so that's the major issue there. That's probably the main problem or the main holdup or hang up in all of this. Hear me out, Darwin Nunez. I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. I don't want to be in big trouble. So yeah, I won't speak about Darwin Nunez. United supporter though, interesting. Yeah, we won't speak about Darwin today, but yeah. Apparently, Napoli's like top target at striker. I think he would do really, really well there, to be quite honest. He is the right profile. I absolutely adore the Nunez profile of striker. It's just what I do. Energetic, they run all the time, good positioning. They find themselves in the right spot a lot. He just can't shoot. He's just a bozo in that respect. He's actually quite creative. His stats are good. He's actually decent. He's too like he just doesn't finish the easy chances that he should, and that's the problem, you know. But I really like the type of profile that he is, but I don't think we can take another player who can't put the ball in the box at the end of the day. You know, to me, Gyökeres is a similar player who can finish his chances. So I still don't know anything about that Tolu guy, Smokey, unfortunately. Don't hang up the phone from Brentford and try. I don't think they're going to sell another player like that. By the way, I figured out the camera thing. If I talk with my hands, then the there you go. The color adjusts, and if I put my hands back down, it goes back. So it's because it's auto focusing on my hands and changing the color. That's why. So I have to talk less with my hands in front of the camera to get it to do it right. I figured it out the other day. Why that was happening, because I kept questioning it, and sometimes I'll sit back and then I'll start doing this, and then it all like goes crazy. But yeah. Nunez left frame and Hoyland's right brain. Have you mentioned the Ederson news from DiMarzio? What is the Italians hate this, yeah, right? What is the Ederson news from DiMarzio? I did not see anything about anything recent about Ederson. Liverpool are demanding 70 million for Nunez. We can't get at least 40 for Antony. Nunez is a lot better than Antony in the Premier League. Any idea what Mateta's price is? I'm guessing 60. Yeah, I think that. It's because white. I know. I just have to figure out how to actually turn it off on my Logitech here. How to turn off the white balance. I need to find the settings. Kolo Muani. That's a good name. I need to write that one down because United followed him, tracked him all the way through January. Yeah. Even considered it at one point, making a deal in January. So one to think about if we're talking to Juve. But let's see. Just see if there's anything else to discuss today. Oops, wrong button. Just gotta get some work done, and then I will obviously be back in the morning. I think that's it, guys. I don't have much else to talk about. I don't want to take forever. Like I said, I got some things to get done. I expect we'll get some more busy news days soon. Jean Fontes from Barca Center says Rashford hot, 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 hot. One second. There's something. There's something coming from the Athletic on a player that we have been linked to, that we have done checks in, that they're gonna have some kind of piece on, or maybe they'll talk about it. They'll talk about it from Laurie. That's not in Kunku. Somebody that's already been like out there and linked, that he's gonna put a piece on. So we'll see. Maybe there's somebody else that we're a little more pushing forward with. He doesn't say. He doesn't say. But he said in the podcast that he's gonna put something out about it. So yeah, he's got an article coming after the podcast that's about somebody, but he says it's already out there. It's already out there. So who is it? Is it somebody else that we're checking on, or that we've checked on, that maybe the interest is becoming more concrete in? Let's see. Probably Douglas Luiz. Nah, I don't know about that. No, he says it's already out there. So maybe it's one of the names that we've already been speaking about, like Gyökeres or Ekitike. Maybe Osimhen. That would be exciting. If it's a striker and it's one of those three, then obviously it'd be exciting in terms of like a deal, maybe that we're moving forward on it. I mean, Martinez, he kind of already played that down a few times, and mostly made it about Onana, but who could it be? Who could it be? Who could it be? We already talked about Emmy in the deal sheet. Big guess. Big guesses. All right, I've got to run, guys. I will see you later. I've got to do something right now. But yeah, we'll find out. Let's see what comes of that, and see if it's something interesting or one of the names that I've spoke about here today. And I will see you soon, okay? But I've got to run. Thanks for hanging out today. We'll be back. Video tomorrow, podcast tomorrow, live tomorrow. But yeah, that's it. Thanks.